Today on Leo's Tech Corner, I've got something very different for you. Because for the first time, we're gonna be taking a look at the Ubiquiti device. Specifically, the Ubiquiti UniFi UAP-AC-EDU. So let's get started. The UAP-AC-EDU is an access point made by Ubiquiti primarily for schools. It features a modified version of the UAP-AC Pro access point, which is connected via USB to a PA or public address system underneath it. You can use one without a speaker attached, but that defeats the purpose of this whole thing. It's also worth mentioning that the EDU series of access point is now discontinued and in the end-of-life phase starting March 1st, 2021, although Ubiquiti has never released an updated version. And with that out of the way, let's get to the overview. This device is meant to be installed in ceiling tiles, as indicated by its body design. On the back, the only thing we can see is one Ethernet port, as well as 4 legs for mounting it under a ceiling tile. There's no DC jack, and the only supported powering method is 802.380 or PoE+. You can also use it with a regular 802.3 AF PoE, but it may not work properly when the speaker is in use. When we flip the access point over, we can see the access point itself mounted on top of a special enclosure hosting the speaker underneath. Twisting the access point reveals a USB cable plugged into the AP itself, an Ethernet pass-through cable from the Ethernet port on the back, as well as another Ethernet cable labeled secondary, which Ubiquiti says is reserved for future use. Well, I don't think that the Ethernet cable will ever have a use, considering that this is an EOL product. Anyway, we also get a reset button over here, and that's it. On the front of the access point, we can see the Ubiquiti logo and the LED status ring. It can change color depending on the device status. Beware that these rings are notorious for getting extremely dim in just a few months of use, which is exactly what happened to this unit here. You can't even see it, and it's only visible during night or under very low light conditions. The white LEDs are fine because they are only used when the access point is starting up or when it's ready for adoption into the UniFi controller. After that, the LEDs change to blue, and if not turned off in the controller, stay on. The previous owner has never turned off the LEDs, which means they're now very dim. This access point is just a slightly different version of the UniFi UAP-AC Pro, which, by the way, can still be purchased new from the official Ubiquiti store for 137 euros. The specs are not bad. It's an AC-1750 access point, which means it has 1300 megabits theoretical bandwidth on the 5 GHz frequency and 450 megabits on 2.4 GHz. It supports 3x3 MIMO or multiple input, multiple output, and the WPA2 security standard, both WPA2 personal and the enterprise. For wired connections, as we talked about earlier, it's got 2 Ethernet ports, of which one is labeled main, is actually functional. Now let's look at the software controller, the adoption process, as well as the broadcasting app. Let's start with the software controller and the adoption process. Before you even plug the device in, you should have your UniFi network controller running and ready. This can be done in 2 ways. One, if you have a Ubiquiti cloud gateway, for example the UniFi Dream Machine series, you already have a functional controller. The second way is to download the UniFi Network Server app on your computer and set it up. In my next video, I'm gonna show you how to set it up, as well as how to configure the adoption process. Based on my testing, it seems that the highest possible version to work fully with these access points is 7.3.83, launched last year. I also tried running the latest version, which at the time of the recording was 8.1.113, which also worked, as it recognized the access points and I could adopt them, but I couldn't get the broadcast application to work. So, if you want to use the PA, 7.3.83 is the last. After logging in, the first thing you see is the broadcast screen, which uses the device's microphone to broadcast in real time. Before you can do that though, you have to create a broadcast group. That's just a group of access points. For example, if a school has both classes for primary education and middle school, they can separate announcements for each one. If we click on the hamburger menu, we can change the site if we have multiple, or pre-record an announcement and then schedule it to be played sometime in the future. We can also see our app and controller versions, as well as log out of the app. To record something, you go to the recordings section and click on the plus icon, which is gonna pop up a new voice recorder. You can name your recording as well as pick an existing file from a phone if you already have a recording. To schedule it, you click on the schedule button, then click plus. You can quickly record a file if you didn't do that yet, or pick an existing one by clicking on the Add Audio File button. UniFi has provided you with some examples, so you can select one of them. Select the broadcast group. Because I didn't set one, I can set the all group, which is going to broadcast to all available access points. You can set the repetition to be custom, never, every day or every weekday by clicking custom and weekly. You can set the days of the week. By clicking monthly, you can set the days of the month. Self-explanatory. Or by clicking predefined, you get to the basic settings. So by clicking repeat every weekday and setting the time, for example at 8:30, okay, we can schedule a stream and we can save it by clicking the tick icon. Now let's move to the volume tab, where you can quickly set a speaker's volume. You can then listen to the changes by clicking the demo button, or change the test sound by clicking on it. By default, the test sound is bell 1. The last category we'll take a look at is the settings. This only has two of them: sound before and after broadcast. It works by playing a sound before a broadcast, then playing the broadcast, and then playing the sound after a broadcast. When you set everything you need, you again open the hamburger menu and click logout, which is gonna log you out of the controller. And that's all for today. I really hope you liked the video. If you did, be sure to click the like button as well as subscribe for new videos just like this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.